Hey everybody, it's your Sam again, and I am here with another video. Today I wanted to go over book cover designs and the process that I am currently in finding one, and those that interest me enough to pick up the book and see what it's all about in the little blurb on the back. So without further ado, here we go. Now, I am the type of person who writes fantasy and reads fantasy. That's what I read and write the most. So most of my book covers are fantastical in nature. Now, that can go with the Sarah J. Maas books with a single kind of person on the book with some kind of weapon, or like smoke and mirrors kind of thing, or it can be like the Court of Thorns and Roses look where it's all thorns or dragonish, depending on which cover you go with, whether it's the latest one or the first one. Those tend to be the books that I pick up the most. Something like The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. I have a tendency to pick up and read the blurb on a lot, and I will show it here somewhere on the screen so you can see it. It's a very simple cover. It's a lot of contrasting colors, and honestly what drew my eye first was the use of purple, and purple is my favorite color, so anything purple usually draws my eye right off the bat. Another one is The Once and Future Witches. This kind of drew my eye because of the title first, and then I got to noticing the cover and everything that was in between the ribbon that holds the title, and that really interests me and that really piqued my interest. Soulless is one that I have picked up and that I have read, and I was not disappointed. It just looked more like a comic book instead of a novel to me, and that's the reason why I picked it up. It's Soulless by Gail Carringer. Another one that I am going to pick up eventually, just because mainly of the book cover, is Ink and Sigil. It sounds really interesting, and I've read the reviews on it, and I do believe that eventually I am going to pick it up. It's on my wish list. Mainly what drew my eye were the colors at first, and I noticed it looked kind of like a chalkboard kind of thing, and that really interests me. But honestly, it was the colors that drew my attention, and the fact that there's like skulls and pins, and enough said, right? Another book that I picked up mostly because of the color and that I actually bought and I read through the trilogy was Ash Princess by Sebastian. This book looks like it's covered in ash, or it's been in ash, and the artwork on the crown is just amazing to me, and when you read the book you learn why that is necessary and why it needs to look like that, and it just looks amazing. And after I read the book, I just fell in love with the cover more because it depicts the book. The cover is the book. You won't get disappointed. Another one that I'm going to pick up that is on my wish list is Sword in the Stars, and again this has purple in it, so it drew my attention right off the bat, and it's on my wish list now. Purple, swords, fantasy stuff, that is my thing. What I don't really like, and I know is very popular, is like the minimalist book look. Those books don't really interest me. To me, those books are more non-fiction books. That just cries non-fiction, even though a lot of them now are fiction, and there's even a few in the fantasy realm, which I think is kind of weird. But hey, whatever, right? What I find that draws my attention a lot, and it's kind of on trend now, is the silhouette look. I love how there are some books, and I'll pop up a couple here on screen, that have a silhouette, like the old silhouette pictures, but in the silhouette there's like a forest or something that ties into the book. So not only do you get kind of a sneak peek as to what the character may look like, their silhouette, but you also kind of get the setting or some of the drama that they have to go through in the silhouette. Or maybe there are a couple of books also that have just a black or white silhouette, and then there's like a background around them that's like a forest or something that really depicts what the book is about too. as I'm looking for a book cover for my ninja stuff, I have this thing in mind. I'm not sure if it's going to work because it's not very modern. It's more cartoony, which will work for what I'm going for because cartoony means that it's going to be funny, and the stories in the ninja book are comedic in nature. What I've been doing is doing a little bit of research on like a comedic fantasy books and some of the covers and everything that go with it. And I've been searching through Fiverr and Upwork and some of the book cover groups on Facebook and other websites like 99 Designs and stuff like that for artists that kind of do cartoony type minimalist silhouette-ish book covers. And I have found a couple, but I'm not going to reveal them to y'all until I get closer to making a deal with them or do a book cover reveal, and then I will talk about the artist and what I went through in choosing that artist and working with them to create the book cover. The things that you need to look at in order to choose a right book cover or to create a good book cover for your book is your book's genre. So look at books that are in your genre. What is popular in your genre? As you can see, mine is fantasy. So fantasy always has like crowns, swords, kind of like a smoky background, an assassin on there. It's very simplistic in nature usually. There's not a lot going on in the background. Usually it's a solid color and it has like a silhouette or possibly some forest or trees or something like that, but there's definitely always a sword or a crown or something that looks fantastical. Some of them have towers, some of them have mountains that show like travel or something like that. So always look at what other books are doing in your genre, and that's kind of the vein that you need to go in. Also, know your audience. There is a huge difference between young adult fantasy or middle grade fantasy covers than adult fantasy covers or epic fantasy covers. Young adult fantasy, as you know, usually has like a teen or young adult on the cover and they're holding like a sword or something like that. Adult fantasy has a more tendency to go towards just the sword. Sometimes they do like the landscape kind of thing, like the mountains. Like look at the recovers of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings series, just so you know the change in times, because those covers were updated per the time. You also want your book cover to kind of stand out so that it will be picked up over the books next to it, but you don't want it to stand out too awful much. You don't want it to be the sore thumb that everybody kind of looks at and is like, I don't know why that book is here instead of, you know, in some other genre. Font and colors and things that depict the idea of your work are other things to consider while making or looking for a book cover as well. It's pretty much all I got for you today. I hope this helped out. You get a little bit of knowledge in what interests me in picking up a book, and you get a little bit of knowledge about how to look for a book cover for your work in progress. If you like videos like this, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what your favorite book cover is. If you haven't already, subscribe. I do videos every Sunday and Thursday. I do live streams every Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, be kind to one another. Stay safe out there. Keep being creative and keep writing. And I will see you next time.